The Buffalo Bills, a franchise defined by resilience, heartbreak, and one of the most loyal fan bases in the NFL. From the AFL glory days of the 1960s to the unprecedented run of four straight Super Bowl appearances in the 1990s to the modern rise of Josh Allen and Bills Mafia, the Bills have always been at the center of football's most dramatic storylines. But here's the question. Will Buffalo ever climb the final step and capture that elusive Lombardi Trophy? You're watching Spotlight Stories NFL, where every team has a story and we put them under the spotlight. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. The Buffalo Bills were founded in 1960 as a charter member of the American Football League, AFL. The name Bills was chosen in a fan contest honoring legendary frontiersman Buffalo Bill Cody, and the team quickly became one of the AFL's premier franchises. Under head coach Lou Saban, Buffalo won back-to-back AFL championships in 1964 and 1965, led by quarterback Jack Kemp, running back Cookie Gilchrist, and a defense nicknamed the Wall of Fame. Those championships marked Buffalo as a powerhouse in the AFL era, and they remain the only league titles in the team's history. After the AFL-NFL merger in 1970, the Bills endured ups and downs, but they found their next superstar in O.J. Simpson. Drafted first overall in 1969, Simpson became the face of the franchise in the 1970s and one of the most electrifying runners in NFL history. In 1973, he became the first player in NFL history to rush for over 2,000 yards in a single season, finishing with 2,003 yards in just 14 games. Nicknamed the Juice, Simpson was a five-time Pro Bowler with Buffalo, won the league MVP in 1973, and led the NFL in rushing four times. His powerful yet graceful style made him the NFL's most recognizable star of the decade and solidified his place as one of the all-time greats. Despite Simpson's brilliance, however, the Bills struggled to build consistent winners around him, and postseason success eluded the team in that era. The franchise rose to national prominence again in the late 1980s and early 1990s when general manager Bill Polian and head coach Marv Levy assembled one of the most talented rosters in NFL history. With Jim Kelly at quarterback, Thurman Thomas in the backfield, Andre Reed catching passes, and Bruce Smith terrorizing opposing quarterbacks, Buffalo became an AFC powerhouse. From 1990 to 1993, the Bills made an unprecedented four straight Super Bowl appearances, a record that still stands. But each time, heartbreak followed, most memorably in Super Bowl 25, when kicker Scott Norwood's potential game-winning field goal sailed wide right. After the dynasty years faded, Buffalo fell into decline, culminating in one of the longest postseason droughts in sports. 17 years without a playoff appearance from 2000 to 2016. Despite years of frustration, the Bills fans, proudly known as Bills Mafia, never wavered, building a reputation as one of the most passionate and loyal fan bases in football. That loyalty has paid off in the modern era. Since 2017, under head coach Sean McDermott and general manager Brandon Beane, the Bills have risen back to prominence. Drafting Josh Allen in 2018 gave Buffalo its first true franchise quarterback since Jim Kelly, and the team is once again a consistent playoff contender. From the AFL championships of the 1960s to the Super Bowl heartbreaks of the 1990s and now the Josh Allen-led resurgence, the Bills' journey has been one of soaring highs, crushing lows, and undying loyalty from their fans. Fun fact number one, did you know the Bills are the only team to play in the AFL, CFL, and NFL? Before the AFL-NFL merger, the Bills briefly considered joining the Canadian Football League in 1959 after financial struggles. They played a CFL exhibition game against the Hamilton Tiger Cats, making them the only current NFL team to face CFL competition as part of league-level talks. The Buffalo Bills uniforms have always reflected the red, white, and blue, tying the franchise's identity to both its patriotic theme and its regional pride. In the team's early AFL days, they wore silver helmets with simple blue numbers before switching to white helmets in the mid-1960s. The most recognizable change came in 1974 when the Bills adopted the red charging buffalo logo on their helmets. The decision wasn't just cosmetic, it was practical. With quarterback Joe Ferguson under center, coaches worried about his color blindness, making it difficult to distinguish his receivers from defenders wearing white helmets. The bright red logo helped solve the problem and gave Buffalo one of the boldest looks in football. In 1984, the Bills went one step further, changing the helmet shell itself to solid red. That red helmet, paired with the charging Buffalo logo, became the symbol of the Jim Kelly-led dynasty years in the 1990s. As Buffalo stormed to four straight Super Bowl appearances, fans today still associate the red helmets with those unforgettable teams. In 2011, the franchise shifted back to a white helmet with the blue charging buffalo outlined in red, restoring a classic look that blended tradition with modern style. The Bills' uniforms today, in the white helmets, clean blue and white jerseys with red and blue striping, are widely regarded as some of the NFL's sharpest, striking a balance between history and freshness. The Bills' home stadium is equally iconic. The franchise has played in Orchard Park, New York since 1973, in a venue that has gone through multiple names: Rich Stadium, Ralph Wilson Stadium, New Era Field, and now Highmark Stadium. Built specifically to withstand the brutal winters of western New York, the stadium is known for swirling winds, heavy snow, and one of the most raucous atmospheres in the league. The East End Zone bleachers became famous for rowdy fans, a precursor to what would later be branded as Bills Mafia. Opponents often speak about the unique challenge of playing in Orchard Park, where freezing cold, heavy snow, and deafening noise combine into one of the most intimidating home field advantages in football. The stadium has hosted countless iconic moments, from O.J. Simpson's record-setting rushing performances in the 1970s to Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas lighting up defenses in the 1990s to Josh Allen's modern heroics in blizzard-like conditions. Perhaps no game better symbolizes its mystique than the 2017 snow game against the Colts, when nearly 17 inches of snow blanketed the field and fans shoveled out their seats just to cheer as LaShawn McCoy ran for the game-winning touchdown in overtime. Looking ahead, the Bills are preparing to move into a brand-new, state-of-the-art stadium currently under construction across the street from Highmark. Slated to open in 2026, the $1.5 billion venue will feature a canopy to shield fans from the elements while still allowing open-air football, ensuring the wild Buffalo weather remains part of the team's identity. The design promises to preserve the loud, intimate feel of Highmark while giving Bills fans one of the most modern facilities in the NFL. From their helmet evolution, from silver to white to red and back to white again, to the snow-soaked battles in Orchard Park, the Bills' uniforms and stadium are more than just aesthetics and concrete. They're living symbols of Buffalo's resilience, toughness, and the loyalty of a fan base that refuses to be outdone by any opponent or by the weather itself. Fun fact number 2, did you know the Bills once played a home game in the middle of a blizzard and won? In 2017, the Bills defeated the Colts 13-7 in overtime in what's now called the Snow Game. Played in Orchard Park amid nearly 17 inches of snowfall, running back LaShawn McCoy scored the game-winning touchdown, cementing one of the most iconic moments in modern Bills history. The Bills' first great era came in the 1960s, when they won their AFL titles under Lou Saban. But the franchise's most legendary stretch was the late 1980s and early 1990s. Under Marv Levy, the Bills dominated the AFC, winning 4 straight conference championships from 1990 to 1993, something no other team in NFL history has accomplished. The defining moment of that era came in the 1992 AFC wildcard game against the Houston Oilers, known simply as the comeback. Trailing 35-3 in the third quarter, backup quarterback Frank Reich led the Bills to the largest comeback in NFL history, winning 41-38 in overtime. Though that season ended in another Super Bowl loss, the comeback remains one of the most iconic games ever played. Modern Bills fans point to the Josh Allen era as the new high point. Drafted in 2018, Allen has transformed Buffalo into a perennial contender again. His epic duel with Patrick Mahomes in the 2021 divisional round, a game many call one of the greatest playoff contests ever, showcased Buffalo's potential to finally bring home a championship. Fun fact number 3, did you know the longest non-scoring play in NFL history happened in Buffalo? In 1972, Bills kicker Roy Gorella missed a 45-yard field goal against Washington. Washington's returner picked it up and ran it back 104 yards, but was tackled short of the end zone. The play remains the longest non-scoring return in league history. The Bills' deepest lows are as memorable as their highs. After winning their AFL titles, Buffalo endured a long playoff drought. The 1990s Super Bowl heartbreaks remain infamous. 4 straight trips, 4 straight losses. The most painful was Super Bowl 25, when Scott Norwood's 47-yard field goal attempt sailed wide right in the final seconds against the Giants. Following the end of the Marv Levy era, the Bills entered one of the NFL's longest droughts, missing the playoffs for 17 consecutive seasons from 2000 to 2016. During that time, the team cycled through quarterbacks and head coaches with little success. For nearly 2 decades, Buffalo was an afterthought in the AFC. The drought finally ended in 2017 when head coach Sean McDermott led the Bills to the postseason. Since then, they've become consistent contenders, but playoff heartbreak has continued, often at the hands of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Fun fact number 4. Did you know the Bills once lost a playoff game without punting? In the 1990 AFC Championship game, the Bills beat the Raiders 51-3. But the rare fact is the following year. In Super Bowl 26 against Washington, the Bills' offense didn't punt a single time. Instead, they turned the ball over 4 times and lost 37-24. It's one of the strangest statistical quirks in Super Bowl history. The Buffalo Bills' history is rich with legends who defined eras of football and whose names remain synonymous with greatness in the sport. At the top of the list is Jim Kelly, the fearless leader of the Bills' K-gun offense in the 1990s. Kelly was the steady hand that guided Buffalo to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances, earning a reputation for toughness and poise in high-pressure moments. His leadership on the field made him the face of the franchise and cemented his place in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Surrounding Kelly was a core of Hall of Fame teammates who elevated the Bills to dynasty status. Running back Thurman Thomas was the ultimate dual threat, capable of gashing defenses on the ground and catching passes out of the backfield. Wide receiver Andre Reed became Kelly's go-to target, finishing his career as one of the most productive receivers of his era. On defense, Bruce Smith, the NFL's all-time sack leader, dominated opposing quarterbacks for nearly 2 decades. Smith's combination of size, speed, and relentless pursuit made him one of the most feared defenders in NFL history. The Bills' Hall of Fame roster doesn't stop there. Linebacker Darryl Talley, offensive guard Billy Shaw, the only player inducted into the Hall of Fame solely for his AFL career, and coach Marv Levy all left indelible marks on the franchise. Levy's intelligence and motivational style perfectly captured Buffalo's underdog spirit, and he remains the most iconic coach in team history. And then there is O.J. Simpson, perhaps the most electrifying player to ever wear a Bills uniform. Drafted first overall in 1969, Simpson became the face of the franchise in the 1970s and one of the most celebrated athletes of his time. In 1973, he became the first running back in NFL history to rush for over 2,000 yards in a season, finishing with 2,003 yards in just 14 games, a record-setting pace that remains one of the greatest individual achievements in league history. Simpson was a 5-time Pro Bowler in Buffalo, an NFL MVP, and a 4-time rushing champion. His speed, vision, and balance made him a nightmare for defenses and an idol for fans during that decade. Disclaimer, this story focuses exclusively on O.J. Simpson's football career with the Buffalo Bills and his on-field accomplishments. It does not reflect or endorse his actions or personal life off the field, which remain deeply controversial. In more recent years, the Bills have added new icons to their lore. Josh Allen has emerged as one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in football, combining a rocket arm with a punishing running style. Wide receiver Stephon Diggs helped transform the Bills' offense into one of the league's most explosive units, while defensive stars like Trey Davis-White and Von Miller have carried the team's trademark toughness into the modern era. From Jim Kelly's grit, Thurman Thomas's versatility, and Bruce Smith's dominance, to O.J. Simpson's record-setting brilliance on the field and Josh Allen's modern heroics, the Bills' all-time icons reflect the franchise's journey, one of star power, resilience, and unforgettable moments in NFL history. The Bills' first head coach was Buster Ramsey in 1960, but true success didn't come until Lou Saban, who guided them to AFL championships in 1964 and 1965. After the AFL-NFL merger, Buffalo struggled until Chuck Knox brought respectability in the 1980s. The franchise's most famous coach remains Marv Levy, who took over in 1986 and led the team to its 4 straight Super Bowls. Known for his intelligence and motivational leadership, Levy embodied Buffalo's fighting spirit. After Levy's retirement, Buffalo entered years of instability, cycling through coaches like Wade Phillips, Greg Williams, Mike Mularkey, and Dick Jauron without finding long-term success. The drought finally ended under Sean McDermott, hired in 2017. McDermott, alongside GM Brandon Beane, rebuilt the roster, developed Josh Allen, and turned Buffalo into a contender once again. Fun fact number 5. Did you know Buffalo invented the no-huddle offense? In the late 1980s and early 1990s, the Bills' K-gun offense, led by Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, and Andre Reed, perfected the no-huddle, hurry-up style. It was so effective that the NFL briefly considered making rule changes to slow it down. The Bills entered the 2025 NFL Draft with a clear plan: reinforce their defense, add depth across the board, and give Josh Allen more support. With their first-round pick at number 30 overall, Buffalo selected Maxwell Hairston, a lightning-fast cornerback out of Kentucky who ran a 4.2840 at the Combine. Hairston is expected to step in immediately as a competitor for the CB2 spot opposite Christian Benford, giving the secondary more speed and coverage ability. In the second round, the Bills made a bold move, trading with Chicago to grab the 41st pick, which they used on T.J. Sanders, a versatile defensive tackle from South Carolina. Sanders can play multiple spots along the interior and should be a valuable rotational piece right away. In the third round, Buffalo added more pass rush help with Landon Jackson, along an athletic defensive end from Arkansas, who brings upside and depth to the edge rotation. The fourth round brought more size to the defensive line as the Bills selected Deone Walker, a massive defensive tackle from Kentucky who stands 6 feet 7 inches and weighs over 330 pounds. Walker projects as an immediate run stuffer with potential as an interior disruptor. In the fifth round, Buffalo made back-to-back compensatory picks. First, they grabbed Jordan Hancock, a cornerback from Ohio State with the ability to play in the slot or outside. Right after, they drafted Jackson Hawes, a tight end from Georgia Tech, who can contribute as both a blocker and a receiver behind Dalton Kincaid. The Bills continued to stockpile depth in the sixth round, drafting Dorian Strong, a speedy cornerback from Virginia Tech, followed by Chase Lunt, an offensive tackle from UCNN, who adds insurance for the offensive line. Finally, with their seventh-round pick, Buffalo took a swing at upside with Caden Prather, a wide receiver out of Maryland. At 6 feet 4 inches with big play speed, Prather could become a deep ball weapon for Josh Allen, or at least carve out a role on special teams. In total, the Bills walked away with 9 new players, a class heavily tilted toward defense, especially in the secondary and along the defensive front. With Hairston, Sanders, and Walker headlining, Buffalo clearly emphasized toughness and depth on a defense, while still giving Allen another young target to develop on offense. From AFL champions to 4-time Super Bowl heartbreakers, from the playoff drought to the rise of Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills have lived through some of the most dramatic highs and lows in football. Their fans, Bills Mafia, have never wavered, supporting their team through decades of disappointment and flashes of glory. The question now is simple. Is this the team, and is this the year that Buffalo finally climbs the mountain and brings home the Lombardi Trophy? Don't forget to like and subscribe to Spotlight Stories NFL, where every team has a story and we put them under the spotlight.